Hey guys, today I'm going to show you exactly how I teach my fourth grader history. If you want to see all the things that came in my box of history, that's another video. I'll put the link to it up there. But I'm going to show you right now just what I do on a day-to-day. It's going to be specific to what we're working through right now. So we're doing American History Part 2. We did Core D last year. We're doing Core E this year, which is from about the Civil War to now. So I'll show you exactly what that looks like and kind of like how our day goes. So how I do it is I have my schedule all laid out, and my schedule tells me what books I'm reading that day, what books she's reading, what she's doing, and all of the things. So I'm currently reading The Landmark of American History, and we do a mix of reading this and another book. But the cool thing with Sonlight is that it's mostly taught through living books. That means that she read The Freedom Train, she read Shades of Grey, Homeward Hannah Lee. These are all stories around the Civil War. And so she has those stories also reminding her of dates, battles, anything like that. And then we've got this, which is a little bit more textbook style. And I will not lie, this one isn't as interesting as reading a fun book telling about the same time in history, but this one has a lot more facts. So we'll read through Landmark of American History or whatever history book is on the menu for that day, although it's generally this one right now. And while I'm reading to her, she's usually coloring. She has 3 different coloring books that I bought specifically for American history, and this one she used partly in last year and partly this year. And then she's got 2 Native American Indian coloring books. And I like to do this because I think that it just helps her to stay focused. And again, it's just giving something different than just reading dates and facts. She gets to look through it and color the pictures while she's listening to me read, and then if there's anything important in the book, I will obviously pull it out and show it to her. So after we read the book that we're reading, whatever that is, we go and we put whatever stickers that correlated with the story into this book. And if you don't use Sonlight and you've never seen this before, it's an amazing resource. You don't have to use Sonlight to do it. You can buy it, fill it out with whatever you want, put whatever dates or interesting things, interesting facts that you want to put in here. I saw one homeschool mom had put pictures of the books that they were reading, like the book. She just put a little picture of it in there, and I thought that was genius. I'm going to have to start doing that. So it's really cool because you can just add whatever you want to the timeline. You can see this is kind of where we're at in the history. There's a lot of ones here, but you can totally add more, whatever you want to do. I like how flexible it is. After we read, the main history book, and we do the timeline for whatever was in the history book, then we read our read aloud. So one of the best parts of Sonlight is all the read alouds, because I love reading to my kids and I love getting to share that with them. But it also is always incorporating history. So my books that I read aloud to her, as well as the ones that she's reading aloud to herself, all correlate with whatever we're studying in history. So this book is set in 1890s, so right after the Civil War, so we've just moved past that part of history in our history book too, and now we're going to read about the Great Wheel. So I love how it's just like slightly later, and then we're talking about this, and we've got a whole new thing. And so after I read to them, I do not sit there and drill her on facts. I don't say, okay, like what year and what city, and tell me the name of his aunt in Ireland. I don't do that. I just want to talk to the kids about books. One reason is because I want them to become lifelong learners. I want them to enjoy reading and me reading to them. I don't want them to be stressed out thinking, I've just got to memorize all these facts so that I know them, so that, when she asks me, I know the answer. I want them to enjoy it and hear the story behind it, and just get to experience the book and not just be overwhelmed like it's going to be, a pop quiz every time after we're done reading. So that's, again, just teaching history, trying to keep it very well rounded. I think that's another thing that Sonlight does well, is in certain parts of history, they have just so much information. I won't say all. I talk about that on my Australia video. They don't have a great amount about Australia, but Sonlight is founded in the US, so that's why. But I wish they had more in Australia because I find that very interesting. I find that country very interesting. So next, she's reading Sing Down the Moon. This is by Scott Odell, the same author as Island of the Blue Dolphins. And she's reading that about a Native American. Honestly, I don't know very much about it because that's her read aloud that she's reading. And I'll have her come and talk to me about it, but she mostly just tells about the story. And again, not all the facts, but that's fine with me. She's enjoying it, and I love that. And then last but definitely not least, she does her lapbook. And I love the lapbook because it really brings home the creative, but also like the hands-on part of history. So she gets to, do some sort of craft, which I am not a crafty person, so this to me looks very difficult to come up with, although I'm sure you could yourself. But you can also buy them, and I will put links below because you can totally buy them from Sonlight's website and probably other websites too, but you can buy a box with all these crafts for whatever part of history you're studying. There's World History 1 and 2, and there's American History 1 and 2. And we are in American History 2 right now. So that's what she is working through, and it's just so, so good. I love she gets to be creative and cut out stuff and color stuff, and just it just makes it, all those crafts are just built into our history lesson, which is amazing. So I definitely recommend doing that if you want some hands-on activities for your history lessons. So another thing that I know that a lot of homeschoolers do, especially Sonlight moms who read a lot, sometimes if you don't have time to read all the things, because there are like a lot of reading, I personally am sometimes like this where I don't want to necessarily read the textbook stuff. I essentially never skip the book because I find it so much more fun. But if you are so inclined, or you even just want to give some visuals, you can look these up. Look up these events on YouTube. That is a great resource. I love YouTube. I think it has so many good things on there. And you can look up the different events in history that you think your children might be most interested in, or whatever you're studying at the time. We did an activity around the North and the South, and whose side was on who, which side, the different states were on. And that's definitely something you could look up on YouTube. And again, just creating visuals, and different battles were fought and different things like that. There's just so many different things you can look up. Specifically, I would search for children when you're doing that, just to be safe. My sister recommended I do that because she was doing it for her kids and they were loving it, and it was just making it more visual for them, which can be really, really helpful. So there you have it. That is how I teach my 4th grader history. And again, if you want to find out all the books I'm using, I'll put the video down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys again really soon.